watch it as it's going, but
Okay, we're live halfway through your sentence, I think.
all right. Hi.
So yes, okay, we're live once again with the marvelous Eva on the line from sunny Queensland.
Hello, everybody.
Right, so besides joining all you people live, and I'm going to give you the usual warning for people who've forgotten that, unlike my usual live streams, I'm not going to be consistently interacting with the live chat, but chat away, and if I see something pertinent, I'll bring it up. But yeah, Eva and I, besides doing this live stream, this is going to be a podcast at some point. So
Yeah.
right. So I'm going to lead in with the official podcast introduction. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. I have with me the marvelous Eva, and from Queensland.
Hello, everyone.
And I say that just because, for those who don't know, I'm going to have to say this every time. Australia's internet is garbage, and we're about 1,000 kilometres away from each other, and we may have technical issues.
And I'm got back to my old laptop because the camera and the microphone and everything from the other one was a bit dodge. So yeah.
So yes, so apologies if we have any technical issues. We'll soldier through them if we do. But this week, because last time we talked, it was a little bit heavy. We were talking about sex trafficking versus sex work.
Yeah.
And Eva,
it was a good show, and I've had a lot of good feedback from it, from people saying that they really, once they got through the sort of ramblings of my my ramblings, that they got a good message out of it and understood and agreed with a lot of what we were saying about it all. So that's good. Just have to hone my rambling skills a bit.
yeah, look, I think you're underselling yourself, but that's all good. But Eva did ask, could we do something a bit lighter? And I thought a fun topic. This is something we have discussed before, like worst sex toys ever. Because those with a long memory will know that the first time Eva appeared on my YouTube channel, we were shooting video in the sex shop where you worked at the time, and
overpacked little adult shops down in Parody in Melbourne. I love it.
And yeah, we did. There were a few rather interesting toys that we featured once or twice. Butt plugs the size of traffic cones.
Not necessarily for the pain or the danger or some of the things that we might discuss today. That was more for the sheer novelty of the Barack Obama blow-up doll, and the butt plugs that's bigger than my head and that sort of thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell if, the monster dong dildo and the giant butt plug, are they novelty items, or is someone actually going to use them?
Well, if you look at the packaging, almost all sex toys do say that they're sold for novelty purposes only. And for a long time, people sort of thought that to mean, including myself, thought that to mean that they could get away with selling any old crap and there was no legal repercussions on what might happen if you use the toy, because it's a novelty item and shouldn't be used internally or for medical purposes or whatever. But it actually is not the case. The reason it claims that they put that on packaging for sex toys has got more to do with tariffs and taxes, to do with medical imports and exports and that sort of stuff. It's actually got not much. If a toy damages you, then you have every right for legal recourse. But yeah, that's something I've sort of tried and clarify a bit with people, because there is that old myth that novelty purposes mean there's nothing you can do with it, bites your bits off, and that's not actually the case.
I'm finding it more than mildly amusing, the idea of a court case. It would be awful if, like, someone was badly injured by a novelty item, but with them trying to explain it wasn't my fault, that I stuck it too far up my butt.
Look, there have been some interesting cases, and unfortunately, the sticking something too far up your butt usually isn't a a cause for a law case or something like that, because there are very specific rules for using toys in your butt. But if a specific toy for your butt got stuck and because the toy itself was faulty, then yeah, you could have that recourse.
Yeah, because it's sort of like if you were using an iron, like a clothes iron, to iron your clothes, and it blew up while you were using it and injured you, you could sue them. But if you had some weird fetish going on and you were, ironing your genitals and you got badly burned, you'd have a hard time suing the iron manufacturer.
Yeah, and that's exactly, and that's what that sort of yeah, that's sort of exactly right. There are ways to use products and ways not to use them, and if you use it in the correct way and it still damages you, then yeah, you'd have a reason to make a complaint.
And I mean, we were just joking. Like, two obvious novelty items are ridiculously oversized and somehow tying in with a celebrity,
Yeah.
as in the blow-up dolls. But these days, everyone wants to bring in the cyber thing, like an internet-connected sex toy.
Or yeah, virtual reality sex toys and that sort of stuff. Yeah, technology and sex toys are there are some amazing leaps and bounds, and then there is just some bullshit ones that I just think, oh my god, what do you stop it? Stop trying to be high tech whiz bang into the future and just make us a dildo.
Mm. I mean, like one I've heard of, it's supposed to be a couples thing when you're apart, uh, and if it's a a penis and vagina couple, there's like one's a dildo and one's a fleshlight, and the person at the other end through their smartphone app can control speed of vibration, etc. And the funniest thing I read is women who tried this with guys, just like um, guys somewhat going in their cluelessness because they just straight out of the gate set the woman's sex tie to like jackhammer speed from the start, and they never vary it.
Yeah. That's a good indication. That's actually just sort of in general. That doesn't have to be sex tech across fucking miles. That's often, the default setting for many men when it comes to intercourse is jackrabbit pounding
Yeah,
away and not quite realizing that there's a person on the other end of that nice warm hole.
yeah. It's yeah. I suppose they something for everyone, I guess. Like every now and then, I've seen things like, "What the fuck is that?" And someone's going like, "Oh no, that's all right. That's awesome. I love that." And it's like, okay then. Sorry for judging.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a really interesting point, and it's partly just that everybody's body is different. But I've been testing and reviewing sex toys for 20 years, and one of the most popular sex toys out at the moment is one I just can't stand. And while I've given it fairly good reviews when I've reviewed it because it does what it says it'll do, I just find it boring and annoying and loud and not my cup of tea. So, it's really tricky because sex toys and sexual pleasure and all of that sort of sensation is very personal and very subjective. So it is hard to sort of, a lot of the time you'll be in an adult shop and you'll be looking at the products just thinking, I don't even know how that works. I don't even know what that does, where that goes. But somebody out there does, and somebody gets a kick out of it. So it's a beautiful melting pot of everything for everybody. Excuse my coffee. I was just explaining to Angry that I haven't slept very well. And so I've got my little labyrinth cup. That was a gift for me from actually one of our Bang Gang members, Christian, who I miss very much. Cheers.
Ah, yes. And speaking of other people we've done stuff with, Aidsy might even turn up halfway through
I
the
know,
live
I
stream.
know. That's so exciting. And then somebody else in the comments last week suggested that we get Viola back in, and I would love to do that. I know she's like jet set traveling all over the place at the moment, and she's very busy and she's very, distracted with amazing things going on in her life. But yeah, if we could get the Bang Gang back together, even if just for a sort of, panel chat of sorts, it would be so much fun. I'd really love to do that.
Yeah, well, when she's not traveling around, Viola literally lives up the road from where I am now because I moved. Oh, look, sorry, dinging coming across. That's Aidsy telling me where he is. Um, Yeah, good on him. He's somewhere, in the wilds of the Melbourne transit system. He'll be joining us. Yeah, I remember we dragged him into the adult shop where you were working, and we were really seeing how far we could push that. This is where the joke feels weird. The joke of anything's a dildo if you're brave enough. But this stuff you had in the shop was actually marketed as dildos, but you would have had to been fairly brave to go for it.
Yes, yeah. Some large items in that shop that we had quite a bit of fun with on that episode. And the blow up dolls. I remember him really enjoying the range of dolls that we had for everyone to enjoy.
Although the whole size thing, I mean, for some people, that's their thing, exploring, how adaptable are they? I met, again, this is largely through the magic of the internet, but dominatrix who's an Aussie who works in London, and she specializes in pegging dudes, like with the strap on. And she actually showed me the collections, like, here's the beginner. And it was like a, not very big one, and for first timers who were interested. And she had a range of sizes. And there was one which was beautifully named Cockzilla. And it was like forearm size, and I was thinking Novelty, and she's going, no, there are dudes who can, I work them up to that, and it's one of those things that really gives you pause. It's like, wow,
I love it.
the human body is quite adaptable when it comes down to it.
Oh, it really is remarkably stretchy and accommodating.
Which, the mind boggles. But I was thinking, like, straight up bad sex toys. I mean, one I remember someone showing on a TV show once, and he said, I'd worked in the adult shop for 10 years, and we never sold one of these because it's obviously garbage. And I bought one on my last day, and it was supposed to be a cunnilingus simulator. It was this weird motorized thing.
Yeah, used it once or twice for review. Oh my god, it's hilarious. They've got one for men now as well. That the squeal little tongue bits on the rotary that go around and around like this to try and simulate oral sex, but they're on the inside, so you put your penis through the little hole and it spins, and ridiculous, like just utterly ridiculous, and it didn't work and didn't feel like it was supposed to. And the minute you kind of put a little bit of pressure on it to kind of get a little bit of a harder push against your labia or your clitoris, the whole thing just stopped. Like it had such a minuscule, weak motor in it. You had to kind of, the only way we found that we could get it to use any great kind of deal was if you had somebody use it on you, because then they kind of determined they kept the pressure off it a bit. But no, it was a bit, Is that the one you mean? Sorry,
Yeah, that sounds exactly like the one I mean. Well, the idea of one for dudes, I mean, maybe I'm just not adventurous, but the idea of sticking my dick in something with moving parts is... no, I'm just worried about explaining that in the emergency room as well.
Well, yeah, like when we were talking about doing this episode about bad sex toys, there are a couple of rotating male devices that have caused injury and things that I was thinking of, like supposed like flashlights, but with a rotary inside it or something that kind of gets twist and, like a Chinese burn on your cock. Really not nice.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is one of the areas in life where you really don't want to buy off-brand items, I think.
No, you really want to go and speak to a professional about it. But the thing is, most shops have the wheels and those sort of terrible toys in them because, either the person who's buying it doesn't quite understand what it is, or they were sold, ice to an Eskimo from a very good sales rep. The people that sell these things to the shops and to the buyers are incredibly good salespeople. And if you're sort of a buyer who doesn't have the genitalia that the toy is designed for, you're a penis owner shopping for vagina or clitoris toys, or you're a clitoris vagina owner shopping for penis toys, we don't have that experience of understanding the sensations or what it does. And, we all have different ideas of what the other genitals of somebody else might feel like, oh, if I was a man for a day, I'd wank. If I was a woman for a day, I'd stuff things inside me. You know, we all want to know. But it's all guesswork. And so when you are buying these products and you think, oh my God, that would be amazing, if you don't have the bits that it's supposed to go to, you really cannot tell on how it will feel. And again, like I said at the beginning, everybody's different anyway. So something that you think will feel fantastic might not work for somebody else. So a lot of these shops will have these products in it either because they don't understand it or they think somebody might be into it somewhere. It's had good reviews somewhere, or you know, I don't know. The squeal I still can't figure out though.
And admittedly, also people with the same genital set sometimes make the mistake of assuming that what works for them works for everyone with the same
Yeah.
bits.
Yeah, that's right. And so, you know, and that's where you get this sort of, you know, confusion when people will come into a shop and see the dildos and they're ranging from, you know, the size of a, you know, a little couple of fingers to the size of, you know, somebody's head. And the people that know, but the people that don't can't understand how anybody could even, you know, think about inserting something that size inside of them. So it is all very subjective, which is why we need a great range of products. But then there are some out there that just really should never have been made and should be put on the trash fire for eternity.
Yeah, and I guess that's the spectrum. I mean, sometimes it's kind of obvious that that's bad and should seriously only ever be a novelty that you stick on a bookshelf and never be used. But again, I've learned from experts, you've got to be careful because what's good in one environment gets bad in another. Like if you use, there might be a particular toy that's great, but if you use the wrong lubricant with it, everything goes south.
Yeah, you know, that's the way that you use it and where you use it and who you're using it with and during what activity. There are all sorts of different sort of, I guess, you know, things that come into play when you come into play.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's the silicon-based lube will break down silicon-based toys.
Yeah,
Is
it
that
really
correct?
can. You know, and sometimes not to a point that you might even notice, but it can sort of damage the material and create sort of smaller, small abrasions and things like that that can then harbour certain bacteria or molds or other things like that. And it can get to the point where it actually degrades the material visually, and that's usually a sign of a sort of poor quality toy and a poor quality lubricant. You know, you shouldn't. I mean, although warranties and although it's recommended that you really don't use silicone with silicone, if you've got a really high quality silicone toy, say something that's made by like WeVibe or Fun Factory or Lilo or something, and you're using a very high quality silicone lubricant, then there really probably won't be that much damage that you'll do to the toy. But because the recommended lubricant with those toys is water-based, any kind of warranty or guarantee that you get with that toy would be void from using the wrong kind of lubricant, even if the warranty claim you're wanting to claim it for is a battery issue or a charging issue or something else. If you've used the wrong type of lube, they'll just, you know, they'll ignore your claim because it's just part of their standard terms and conditions. So I mean, I recommend water-based lube for almost everything and everyone because it's, you know, it's good. I think there's only a few reasons I would not recommend water-based lube, and that's usually with things with, you know, with water play, if you squirt a lot, those sort of things where it can really wash away. If you're using glass and metal toys anally, silicone lube can be a lot better because it lasts a lot longer. But yeah, silicone on silicone is usually generally not a good idea.
Is actually speaking of the different materials of toys, you just mentioned a few there. You get silicon, glass, metal. There's that weird jelly stuff some are
Oh
made.
yes, I will always recommend you do not use gel toys, and if you do, don't use them for longer than about 6 months because they are really gross. They're gross in so many ways. They're porous and they can be full of chemicals and stuff that will react to your skin, and especially in sensitive areas like the vulva or the anus or, you know, those sort of places. If you have a gel toy sitting next to another gel toy, and they sit together for a number of, for a bit of time, they will actually melt together and kind of turn into this gooey, horrible, like the way that I sort of describe it to people. If you've ever seen the movie Gremlins, and you know that scene where they eat the chicken after midnight and they're all like, yeah, and there's all that kind of gooey shit coming off the chicken. That's what it looks like when you have a gel toy and a gel toy stuck together in a thing. There's a really great sex toy blogger she's like the sex toy blogger's blogger. She's like the guru of it all, called Dangerous Lily. And she does a whole bunch of scientific experiments about and around toys and toy material and that sort of stuff. And she has this jar, this experimental jar. She's got two of them. One is full of jelly products and one is full of silicone products touching each other. And the silicone products jar has not changed in, I think it's almost been 7 years she's had this in the jar. The gel ones, and she's got this kind of time-lapse sort of photos of showing how it's degraded over time. By the end of, not even a few months, it was just melting into this disgusting, viscous kind of, it was disgusting. And that sort of is a really good sort of visual aid to show people that, the quality of the material of the toy really does matter, and really can change the health of your body if you're not careful with how you're using it. So yeah, if you've got a gel toy, always clean it, always clean it before and after use, and chuck it out after 6 months, and go and buy something silicone, because you'll find something very similar in a silicone version.
Yeah, and you could probably, if you really want to be convinced to swear off them, if I do a quick Google search, do gel sex toys melt, and I bet you get some graphic. Yeah, there's a whole. Yeah, Dangerous Lily showed up right near the top.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you go to the image search and you see pictures of her jar, and they're just all melting into amorphous blob.
It's disgusting. It's really gross. But for all of your science sex toy information, I recommend her entirely, because she's really good at what she does, and she's very thorough in her research, and her and her experiments are very hands-on. So you get to see, and she does sex toy reviews as well. So a lot of the time when I do my reviews, after I've written it, I'll go onto her website and see if she's done one and see if we have similar feelings. And, for the most part, most sex toy bloggers are quite consistent in their sort of reviews of toys, except for the one that I was mentioning right at the beginning, that is the most popular toy in the world, and I can't stand it, which is the womanizer / satisfier air technology. They call it airflow technology, suctiony things. And look, I will say, and if you read my womanizer review, which we can maybe post a link to later, which is the only one I've got up, because all of my other reviews of if I did any of the Satisfier range or any of them would be exactly the same. They're all very, very similar with slight differences. My problem with it is I found it very boring. Apart from the fact that I did orgasm, and apart from the fact that I did multiple orgasm, like it kind of says that it's possible to help you achieve, it was very boring. I felt very still and sterile, and you can't move the toy once it's in place for the way for it to work, and you can't kind of really use it during intercourse, which is one of my favorite ways of using sex toys, because it's sort of big and bulky and gets in the way. There's a Satisfier smaller version called the Traveller, which could possibly work a little bit better in that situation. But yeah, so that's sort of an interesting, I find for myself, an interesting difference that I've had with almost every other clitoris owner in the world. I don't like them.
Well, and I guess that's the perfect illustration of nothing's the same for everyone. Be aware of differences. And I don't know about you, but I'm sure you've heard it. I've heard people say, like, when they don't like something, and this is not even just about sex, but when they don't like something that everyone else says is the best, they end up thinking there's something wrong with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not even that I thought with this it was a bit different because I got it. It did what it said it was going to do. So that's why I felt kind of bad about giving it. I mean, the review, I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10 something because it literally does what it says it will do, and you can't fault that. You can't give that a bad review in a sense. But I don't know. I guess maybe I just move around a lot, or I just like changing positions. And I've got sort of, clitorises are kind of a lot of the time when people are talking about the way that they work or the way they stimulate, it's like a clock, and you've got your sort of points that are the most favourite ones, your 12 o'clock or your 3 o'clock or your, and all. I put 3 o'clock and I'm at 6, whatever. But this is sort of this kind of, and a lot of people want the sort of central all over clitoral feeling. Some people just like it on one bit, some people like a combination of bits. And I don't know if it was just that my clit is my clit. I don't know. It just was yeah. But I do recommend them for women who struggle to orgasm, or who feel like they have never orgasmed, or who want to try and explore the idea of multiple orgasms, but find that when they do try, their clitoris gets far too sensitive after the first 1 or 2 orgasms, and they just can't go any further. Because it's a no contact, but it's not. It's like picture that's the clit and it sort of caps over the top. That's a really bad artist rendition, but it sort of it's sort of it creates these amazing sensations without much contact at all. And so it really can. Squirting, apparently, I did this article recently on squirting and toys that people use to help them squirt, or that have made them squirt when they never realized it. And that came up in my interviews and questions on Twitter and Facebook and stuff. The Womanizer and the Satisfier came up as the most unexpected squirting toys. Some women had never even orgasmed before and tried the Satisfier and went, and then squirted everywhere and sort of ruined the bed sheets. So it's definitely a popular toy for reasons. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's I guess also comes back to what we were saying before, that experimentation and openness is going to be important. This is why, like a lot of people probably, I'm going to buy it off the internet because then no one has to know I bought it. Although I did see a very funny post online the other day of someone having bought a dildo and having been promised discreet packaging. Instead of in a box, it was literally just wrapped in paper, and it was so obviously a cock and balls.
I love it. Oh,
And like the delivery dudes come to the door like, you've got a package.
it's just embarrassing, and I wonder why people sort of troll like that in a way. Like, it just seems really like if that was the case and that came to my door like that, I would never buy another toy off that company ever again, because it's just bullshit. And so I don't see how that's a good marketing ploy at all.
Yeah, I don't know if it is what would have motivated. Obviously, it doesn't happen often, or everyone would be posting pictures. So I don't know if someone at the packing plant just had a bad day and they did that, or
Yeah,
what it was.
damage. So they went, I went off, I'll just chuck it out the box and send them the toy or something. It just seems rather it seems unlikely, and maybe the post itself was a troll. But if it was the case, then I'd be having serious words with their HR department.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, as you said before, if you go to a good quality adult shop, although some people find it a little bit overwhelming or a little bit embarrassing, that is a pretty good environment to just talk to someone and saying, "Hey, I was thinking of this and I don't really know anything about it, and what advice can you give?"
Yeah, that's really the best place to go, and the best place for asking advice, and just to have a look at it and a feel of it, and a sort of see of whether it is going to work for the purposes that you want it to work for. I mean, you're always going to find that there's going to be a sex toy that promised the world, and it was great in store, and blah blah, and it gets home and it doesn't work as well as you thought it would, and that's just life. Things happen like that. But most of the time, the more satisfied customers go into a shop and speak to the staff and get the advice they need to find the product that's right for them.
Yeah, and I mean, you can easily find the sort of nicer brightly lit, well-appointed adult shops these days. It's not all through a dark little door down a dark alley with just, questionable stains on the carpet and seedy guys
Yes,
shopping.
no more behind the heavy curtain and down the dodgy stairs anymore. It's definitely different. I remember I wrote an article for, I think it was the Australian Sex Party, when I was doing a lot of stuff for them when they existed, which I since have put on my blog somewhere, one of my blogs, I'm not even sure which one. And it was all about the difference between the time I bought my first sex toy at about the age of 16 or something at this weird little dodgy place in Canberra and down in Fishwick or Mitchell or something, as compared to the shops that I work in now and that I go into now and that I work around and work with. And there is a big shift in that kind of how they present themselves and how they appear to the general public, because I think for a long time the sex shops were the realm of men, and men went in to buy porn and men went in to buy things, and not sort of realizing that half of the products that are in those stores are marketed for and sold towards women and vagina owners. And so it was sort of, I think it was a really good decision by, I think, probably Club X was one of the first to sort of, they've still got their kind of little dodgy sort of under the out of the way shops, but some of their big mega stores that they sort of started opening up really kind of led the way for some of the other companies to kind of be a bit more female friendly. And then you have companies like, and they don't exist in Australia anymore for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. I think they're still around in New Zealand, but a company called Device, which was a company set up by women for women, and they created their own range as well as sold branded products. And that was, you walked in and you didn't see a penis anywhere. You didn't see a big boobed blonde porn star kind of gaping and whatever out at the walls at you and stuff. It was just beautifully colored silicone dildos and vibrators and great advice, and really kind of made for women to feel more comfortable in. And now almost every sex shop you go into has that kind of air of, hey, welcome, we're here to help and we're here to get you the best product, rather than quick get in and let's get you some porn and get you out before anyone sees you. It's definitely.
I was just thinking that's probably an interesting side effect of internet porn and the proliferation of it. The rate of actually buying porn from adult shops must have dropped like 90%. And
But I thought that was the case, would be the case. But most of the shops that I've worked in or around sell porn and DVDs. And while there is definitely a drop in the sales, they're still one of the biggest sellers in shops that have that sell porn and that have videos or swap videos. They're still really quite popular. And for a lot of the people that do it, it's because they don't trust the internet. They don't want anyone to search their browser history. They might have, or elderly people as well, who are not as internet savvy as, say, the 30, 40-year-olds and under, that grew up kind of learning how to use the internet. They don't trust it, and they do want that kind of physical disc to put in and take out, rather than sort of have something come up on your screen and all the stuff that happens with the internet that can be quite scary for a lot of people. So interestingly, it hasn't, it's different, but it hasn't gone as, it's similar to, I think, when people said, oh, the internet and e-readers is going to close down a bunch of bookshops. And while the mega kind of Borders type generic bookshops have definitely closed or changed, your readings and your out of the way avid readers and bookshops, that people still love books, and they love going into shops, and they love buying actual books that they can smell and read and own and love. And so while there is a shift and there was a bit of a dip for a while, it's still, it's not as bad as I think people predicted, and it's definitely not as, the internet has taken over to a point, but not as much as a lot of people think, for those reasons especially.
And I guess also this is also something I discovered when we shot the videos in the shop where you were working. There's still the comparatively high-end DVDs as well. The ones that actually still have plot and
Yeah, yeah. Some of my favourite DVDs and porn stuff recently are the parody ones. Look, they used to be a bit shit and they used to be a bit dodgy, and I think that was kind of part of their appeal. But then once the Pirates movie came out with is it Jessie Jane and all of those kind of starlets from the sort of Hollywood side of porn, parody porn became much more popular and much more interesting. And there are some amazing ones out there. There was one that we had playing on our shop wall a while ago, like maybe a couple of years ago when I was working in store, and it was the Suicide Squad. And I have not even seen Suicide Squad. The movie itself doesn't really interest me, but I was watching this, and visually, if you sort of skipped out the porn bits, so where there was cock or vag or whatever that you could see, it was so realistically shot, and the costumes and the makeup and everything. I was like, oh my God, did the Joker suck Batman off in a tunnel? Like, I don't know. I have to get the movie off. Like, it was really well done. And that, I think, I can't remember the company that did it, because there's a couple of companies that do good parody porn. The Doctor Who one it's like a Matt Smith and Amy Pond parody porn is funny, but also visually they're just incredible. The worst one I've seen, though, and if anyone else has seen this, I'm sure they will attest to it, is the Katy Perry parody porn.
Gosh.
Because it is just there is a scene with a life-size Elmo with a real penis sticking out of him, as like out of the hole in the life-size Elmo costume, and it is so frightening and so creepy, and I can't even explain how much I never ever want to see that movie ever again.
I'll let you talk to the people for a minute. I'm just answering the door. You keep talking about parody.
All right, cool. So other parody porn that's really good is all of the superhero stuff. There's Wonder Woman, there's the Batman and the Suicide Squad, and I'm pretty sure someone's now come up with a Deadpool one, which I think is quite funny, because Deadpool itself is just almost, well, it's not pornographic, but it's X-rated and R-rated, sorry, and funny as. And then there's also, so you've got like the Katy Perry ones, like Justin Bieber porn and Christina Aguilera porn and Britney Spears porn, and it's just this sort of, it's a really fun and silly and probably offensive to the people that it's parodying little industry
Probably.
that doesn't. Yeah. I don't know if Katy Perry has ever watched her porn video, but and then you also have now, things like One Night in Paris and the actual celebrity porn sex tapes that these people kind of, I think that's one of the things that made me admire Paris Hilton a little bit. I don't want to go too far in my praise for her, but that her and Kim Kardashian, those two women taking the reins of these leaked porn tapes and knowing that there wasn't anything they could do. They were out there, they were, out in the public. So they went, all right, well, this is my video. I'm in it. I fucking own the rights. I'm going to make the money off it. And I think that's, that's a really sort of positive thing that came out of, something that would have been incredibly distressing for those people to go, all right, if you're going to fuck me around, then I'm going to take all the money that is owing to me, because I own the rights to this. I'm on this film. And I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, well, that is an interesting topic, because Kim Kardashian literally launched her public fame with a sex tape. As you say, at one point, in a lot of people's views, that would be the thing that would end your career if you had one. You'd like never go out in public again because, oh my God, there's a sex tape of me. But she literally launched herself with it.
Yeah. And I think that sort of, Paris Hilton, a lot of the things, she got her cue from Paris Hilton and sort of, but I think, that it really showed, I think it kind of brought a lot more empowerment to people who thought, oh, this could happen to me. With all these revenge porn sites that come up and people sharing sort of nude pictures, it's similar. The Kardashians do, Kardashian Wests, whatever they call themselves. They do that a lot with their stuff now, not with porn, but, they'll put their baby photos up on Twitter or Instagram within a day of the children being born or being, birthdays or whatever, because it stops that paparazzi kind of hound. I mean, it still probably doesn't stop the paparazzi hounding, but getting that first photo of the baby, that first photo of it's like, well, fuck you. I'm going to take control of that and do it myself. And then it takes away it brings the power back to the individual who is being, you know, harassed by media or harassed by an ex who's threatening to put their photos online or something like that. And I know it's a lot easier for someone like Kim Kardashian, who has absolutely everything in the world, to come and do that and stand up and say, well, I'm going to do this first and I'm going to get ahead of the curve before they come for me. But it does, I think, in a small way, give a bit of a sort of bit of empowerment to young people and other people who may have had certain similar things happen to them, to go, you know what, I'm going to own this and I'm going to take my power back, because the reason you're doing this is to take my power away. So if I own this, then you've got nothing to take from me. And I think that's a healthy lesson in so many ways. And I can't believe it came from a fucking Hilton and a Kardashian. But there we go. Life is a crazy thing.
Never underestimate who you can learn from, I guess.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen exactly as you bring up. I've seen that with non-porn related stuff, with paparazzi stuff. Yeah, come in. Paparazzi stuff. People, they're trying to have a quiet holiday, and some obnoxious pap comes in and takes pictures and is a complete jerk. And they go, well, okay, to make those pictures worth less, I'm going to post things on Instagram, and their pictures won't have any value then.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly
young Daisy.
The Kardashians and their releasing of baby photos and that sort of stuff. And I'm pretty sure the Jenner girls do similar, and other celebrities do similar, because, oh my goodness, is that AIDS-y?
It is. Here.
You've turned gorgeous.
Oh my God, so have you.
You've turned really gorgeous.
Oh my gosh.
How about
it's been like 6 years.
Chair so I can watch your gorgeousness.
No, you take this chair and I'll go get a chair. And just to get you up to speed, Aidsy, the initial topic was worst sex toys ever. You might have some input.
Oh, I've got input on that.
That any, except for the world's most popular sex toy that I don't particularly like. So we should probably get on to the subject of worst sex toys at some stage.
So what's your worst sex toy ever?
Personally, it was a toy called, I'm just dropping things everywhere. It was a toy by Lilo. I have big problems with the Lilo toy company for many reasons. And while they are good quality toys to a degree, and, you know, they're much far more ethical companies, I had problems with Lilo for their whole stuff with Charlie Sheen and their ridiculous hex condoms that, you know, are very dangerous, and a whole lot of other stuff that Lilo do. But the first impact, and Lilo never sent me another sex toy to review after I reviewed this one. It was called the Ida. And it was supposed to work in a similar way, I suppose, to the Wii Vibe, which is like a C-shaped toy that one part is inserted into the vagina and the other part rests against the clitoris, and then the penis kind of slides in there. And so both the penis and the vagina and the clitoris all get stimulated at the same time. And it's a pretty good toy, you know. It doesn't work for everyone, but there's a few different versions, and it's quite popular and quite good, and was very unique when it came out. So anyway, Lilo came out with a couple of different versions of it. One was sort of a bit flimsy and small, and then they had this one called the Ida, and I've thrown mine out because I just never thought I'd ever use it for anything else again. But it was a disc kind of like this, and then coming out of the disc it was about that thick. It was the two fingers, maybe slightly thinner, this kind of curled, it looked like a hook that you would hook your towel onto if you stuck it sort of upside down on the wall like that, and you could hang your towel on it in the bathroom. And you were supposed to kind of insert the round doobie bit with the disc kind of around there, sort of resting, I guess, against the entrance to the vagina. And then it had a remote control that was just a ridiculous remote control that Lilo had, these remote controls that work by movement or shake it or do all this. It's just fucking give me a button, mate. And then this toy would kind of go like this, and it was supposed to be used during intercourse. So the toy is doing this, and then the penis comes in under that, and it's supposed to stimulate both the G-spot or the A-spot and the penis at the same time. The problem was that it was really quite thick, so that left not much room for a penis anyway, whereas the We Vibe is quite a flat insert. And my husband is quite well endowed. Hi, baby. And so that was quite difficult to get both the penis and this toy in. And then moving around, it's hard. It's not soft. It's got this kind of, I don't know, it's kind of spine inside it that kind of helped move around. Like, we were trying and moving, and in the end, my husband was just like, I have to stop. This hurts. It is painful. It's like grazing against my cock. And when we pulled out and had a look, it literally had grazed the shaft and part of the head of the cock, with it sort of moving around like that. It was utterly ridiculous, impossibly painful, and just uncomfortable. And so I wrote this review, and then, never heard from Lilo again. I did hear later from a few people who said, they had exactly the same experience with the toy, but when they used it as an anal toy, as a solo anal toy, not for double penetration or anything, it was quite good because it was quite slim for that entrance, and it sat quite nicely, and there was no, because of the disc on the bottom, there was no sort of chance of it getting lost in there, and the movement was quite subtle, and once you got used to it, it was quite nice. And I thought, okay, well, they could market this quite well as an anal toy, but marketing it as a couple's toy, it was horrible. It literally damaged his penis and hurt me as well. So that is probably the worst one I've ever come across, and that I have used. I've come across other ones that I think would be quite as painful in other ways, but I haven't used them. But of the ones that I've used, terrible.
Well, I was in Germany, and I was only in Germany for a short while, and over there, their homosexuality, because of historical reasons, has a lot to do with power and pain. And they had this chair, and I don't know who made it, but it was a commercial chair. And the idea was that one sat on the chair while one was getting blown. Now, the chair had a penis looking in the middle of it, right? And after a courtesy finger, one, it was lubricated, and one was expected to sit on the dildette, right? Now, at the beginning of the dildette was rubber fingers, and then as you go down, the rubber fingers turn into hard plastic fingers, and as you go down, the hard plastic fingers turn into hard plastic fingers with metal inserts, and as you go down, it turns into metal, and as you go down, it turns into barbed wire.
All right, so it's a literal torture device, is what we're talking about.
It's a literal.
I suppose there are BDSM and bondage toys that are designed specifically for pain and discomfort, and I suppose that's a bit of a difference to toys that are supposed to be for enjoyment, and they're actually super damaging. But barbed wire, really?
Yeah,
my goodness.
As soon as you said chair, I knew this was going to end up badly.
And
basically,
you're expected to go all the way down and enjoy the experience, because the idea was your what's that chemical when you're hit? Endorphins are going on. Sorry, say again.
Adrenaline and endorphins.
Yeah, your adrenaline endorphins are going off, and you're being blown, and you're being blown very gently, so that by the time you're at the barbed wire, you blow. And when you get off the barbed wire, you're obviously bleeding. Now, one of the things that doesn't tell you is that there is a one way. You know how you get those car traps where you can drive one way on.
All right, it's got barbs.
It's got barbs on the way out.
Jesus.
And it hurts on the way out.
You know, we were having a comparatively normal conversation till you got here, by the way.
And you know, it was just full on. And I was offered by this guy to sit on it again. And I'm going, well, no. And then he said, well, clearly the Scottish Cross, I don't know what that's called.
St Andrew's Cross.
St Andrew's Cross.
Yeah,
was the go. And, you know, we had no safe word.
See, that's bad praxis. That's
I feel like you weren't with a sex worker or sex person. I think you stumbled into like a, you know, rape.
You're actually kidnapped by traffickers at that point.
Oh, this guy.
I mean, look, like I said, I know people. I've seen some hardcore BDSM shows where, you know, blood and urine and all sorts of things are kind of incorporated into the play. And it takes all sorts, but I honestly cannot imagine sitting on a barbed dildo down onto barbed wire and then pulling myself off. I would be like, oh, barbs, no, I think I will stay here forever.
As you described that, AZ, I just kept expecting it to finish with Liam Neeson kicking down the door to rescue you.
The thing that most disturbed me in my life was I was in high school. Now, okay, you've got to understand, in high school, early on in year 8, I was outed as a homosexual. All boys school, I was a pariah.
Oh, I
That's until year 11, when the girls came, 11 and 12. Now, in year 11, I was invited to a party. Now, I never got invited to parties, so this is early year 11. This is the holidays haven't even finished. I got invited to a party, and I got invited to a bedroom and told to take off all my clothes, which I did, and they were hidden from me. And I said, oh, this is all right. And a naked lady came in. There were 3 of them who'd organised this trick. A naked lady came in, and I was looking at her thinking, she's all right. And then she came over and started to sexually excite me. And I thought, this is all right. And we had the sexual intercourse, and she's gone, right, and gone out to her friends and gone, that didn't work. And then another one came in, because what was supposed to happen was the women were supposed to come in and I was supposed to scream like the screaming gay.
All right.
Yeah, right. Right. I was supposed to run away. So then the third one came in, and they've all gone out going, that didn't work. That didn't work.
I think lots of guys have
an awful situation to be in anyway, regardless of the fact that you got laid in the end and all that sort of stuff. Like, just that, I mean, that sort of stuff kind of similarly happened to me in high school in different ways, with people just playing those kind of sex pranks. Oh, so funny and mature on me, because I happened to be quite a highly sexed individual at the time. And there were a lot of rumors about me and a lot of things about me and a lot of awful kind of moments that happened to me within that sort of frame. And I just find it, you know, my daughter's in high school and I know that her and her friends are very unlike all of that sort of stuff and very different to the people that I hung around and the things that happened to me. But I'm sure it still happens to other people within her year group, those sort of experiences and the way that teenagers can just, and, you know, going on into adulthood as well, but teenagers can be just cruel and horrible in that sort of way and think it's funny, that kind of prank of, oh, let's get the gay dude to have sex with women so we can make fun of him for not wanting to have sex with women. Like, I just don't, I know, I mean, high school logic is not particularly logical, but that whole thing.
So it gets better.
Oh
right?
gosh.
So I have the sex with these women,
I have
and
missed
the
you so
trouble
much,
is,
Daisy.
it's really good. And they come out going, that was actually really good.
Oh, yeah.
And what they didn't know at the time was I was bisexual right down the line. I didn't know this. I didn't know this, but actually bisexuals that are right down the line are rare. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Usually bisexuals go to one or the other. I've never had that. I totally enjoy the genitals of either. I don't care. And anyway, I get dressed and the rumours start. The poof is not quite a poof. And I'm leaving, and one of the rugby boys grabs me, takes me into another room, and says, I understand that you've jumped the fence. And he goes, does that mean we missed out? And I go, well, no, you don't miss out. And he says, prove it now. And I go, all right, I can do that, you know. So down I go and yum, yum, yum. And then he says, that's not proof.
Oh my God.
and
You went to some real parties, didn't you?
And then he goes, yum, yum,
Yeah,
yum.
Alex, yeah. Oh, no, this is by year 11 because the girls are
Right.
there.
And
Right.
now remember, this is my fourth shot. So I'm starting to go, I'm not sure if I can, blah, blah, blah. The co-captain of the rugby team's not happy, and he wants proof as well, so that he can tell the boys, that everything is normal, natural, and ready to go. And so he requires, this is my fifth shot. By this time, I gently removed myself from the party with my very bestest friend, who is laughing his ass off. He said the rumours have been abound because he was very, very good at information. He could get information out of anyone. And all of these supposedly under the lid things came by him, and he was pissing himself laughing and said, you really understand you're going to be a busy boy.
Oh,
And
good Lord. Okay, we've gone way, 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 way off topic.
well, there's one last thing. I was passed around at an hors d'oeuvre at these parties, which was fine by me. And one of these, and this is the other thing that bothered me, one of the sexual plays at this party was a blood play. And they would have sex and a referee. They would cut themselves and have the sex and lose blood as they were having the sex. And the referee would say, stop. And they'd have to bind their wounds because they'd run out of too much blood.
Because they wanted to
These
be
are
like.
high school parties, or is this going later on?
Say again?
Was this high school or
parties that you had in high school?
This is in high school.
Yeah,
What
that's.
high school did you go to? We had lipstick parties, or at least apparently. I never was involved in a lipstick party. That's about as kinky as I think my high school
Well, look,
sort of crowd was.
besides, Captain Derango here taking us way off topic. It was also almost the hour up. I did want, because the central thing was sex toys. Eva, I did want to get your thoughts before we left. Possibly the future of, because okay, we know there are quite realistic sex dolls made now, and people are talking about, oh, they're going to be robots and have personalities. And what's amusing to me is seeing these misogynists on the internet going, well, as soon as we have these, feminists will be obsolete. You'll be sorry then. And I have to admit, the first thought I have is like, these dudes really better listen to, their uncle Lobster Boy who says clean your room, because could you just imagine these guys with a sex doll or a sex robot and their hygiene is terrible, basically. I think we're looking at a future of people giving themselves horribly sexual infections.
I see it.
Half-eaten cereal and your dead moldy coffee cup into the kitchen to fucking put away. How are you going to be cleaning out the intimate and intricate sort of folds and flaps and bits of a sex toy you've been jizzing into all night? Like, it's just, I don't know. I find I don't have a problem with sex dolls, and I have a problem with virtual reality sex dolls. But yeah, I do have a big issue with these people seeming to think that it will make sex or women or whatever sort of obsolete, because I mean, there are people out there that marry their body pillows and that fall in love with their fleshlights and things like that. So it's not like it's a new thing. But you know what? I'm quite happy for the incels and the misogynists and all that to take their crusty, sort of disease-ridden from their own mold and disgust that's been sort of stored inside, take those dolls and leave the rest of us the fuck alone. You know what? That's fine. Off you go, mate. Enjoy your real doll. She's awesome, and leave us alone. So in one way, I really have no problem. And if your bits fall off, they fall off.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it from now. Sex toys should be an augmentation, not a replacement. And the people who think they are probably just dooming themselves and making the rest of us better off.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't get to all the sort of terrible sex toys that we were going to talk about, but I think we had a great we learnt a lot today. Thanks, AIDS.
Yeah, and we can always it's like a never-ending fountain of amazement. The world of terrible sex toys. We can talk about it another day.
An entire series on terrible sex toys and still not scratch the surface.
But I think for now, for Podcast World, we'll thank everyone. I hope you enjoyed listening, and we will say goodbye.
Thanks for letting us know. Please subscribe and like us, because everyone's nice, and ring the bell because you'll like it.
I love you, AZ. I've missed you.
You're fabulous. You are so fabulous, and you look amazing.
Thank you. Is it the blue?
It's the blue and the look and the health and the gorgeousness.
I feel good, and you look fantastic too. You look healthy and happy, and
you know what it is?
It's great to see.
It's the teeth.
Yeah, I got them too.
Right, because they're plastic, and they fell on my teeth because they were falling out and exploding.
You're beautiful.
Oh, that's nice.
So, we're still on the live stream, but I'm going to say goodbye. And thanks to everyone who was on the live stream. And we'll see you again another time. Bye for now.
Thanks for being here, guys.
And it's got to stop